Okay, is it too loud? I can turn it down just a skosh. So yeah, it seems a little bit loud. Let's see. Yeah, there you go. That should be undertoned. All right, cool. Yeah, it's a little fun, whatever. All right. Oh, let me go into. I meant to do this before we went live. So we're live now, but all the mics are muted, and we have the little starting screen going. Studio mode. Okay, and then I'm gonna edit this real fast so it has a live scene with the guests. We're gonna edit that. We're gonna move. Nope. We're gonna get the underlay. I'm just talking to myself. Don't mind me. Oh, do it. It is extremely casual. We're just always having fun, man. I'm not trying to ever take shit too serious. I got enough serious shit in the world, you know. Like, yeah. Yeah, right. 100%. Oh, cool. We got some people popping in already in the chat. They must have heard you were coming, Mac. They're like, oh, we gotta see Mac, the man, the myth. All right, let's. Yeah, man. Let's see. I'm just gonna move that over a smidge. We promoted the shit out of this stream, which we usually don't do too much of. All right, so I'm gonna flip on the mics and all that sort of stuff, so all our audio will start going through. I'll do the little intro, and then we'll just start shooting the shit. It'll be fun. So, all right, cool. Here we go. I'm pressing the wrong buttons. Here it is. All right, here we go. What up, everybody? Welcome back to the live stream. Sorry, I've been gone for 3 weeks. I had adult things to do and run my agency and traveling around and doing all kinds of shit, and took a little vacation, the whole mix here. So I've been gone for 3 weeks. I usually don't take that much time. I think that's the longest I've taken off from the stream in 3 years. But so if tonight's your first night, this is the For the Love of Creativity live stream here with me, Colorful Carl. Got a special guest tonight, my buddy Mac Garrison. So I'm gonna pull him up on the screen. Where is this thing at? They can't see you yet, Mac. 1 second. I gotta find. I got too many things. Here it is.
You got too many tabs going on. I'm here.
Boom. All right. Got it. Actually, I could share my other screen with you so you can see the business. Let's see, of like the whole live stream situation. That would
I'm so curious what this looks like.
More advantageous. There you go.
Ah, look at this.
I'll slide that down. Judy made it too, and Lonnie's here. Judy, we got 4 viewers out the gate. This might get crazy. Throughout the, we might get a bunch of people in here. You never know where it goes. All right, so we got Mac here. Mac, welcome to the show, friend. For those of you that don't know Mac, he owns a studio called Dash out of Raleigh, and they are putting on the Dash Bash here. What is this? June what?
11th through 13th.
Okay.
I know, what a novel name, right? what does Dash Studio call their conference? Oh, the Dash Bash.
Hey, why not? Hey, dude, don't overcomplicate it. When it works, it works. You just rock with it, right? So
100%.
Yeah. So it's all based around motion graphics. You own an animation and motion graphics studio just like me, and that's sort of how we became friends. And you've been on my podcast. I was like, look, we should have Mac on the live stream. So here we are.
The industry, when you first get into it, it just feels so much larger than it actually is.
Right.
I think that's a big takeaway. And then you get into it, and after a couple of years, you're like, oh, you start to meet familiar faces. You hear about names. You're like, wait, I know them. And so, yeah, I think just through the various connections of life and being in this space, Carl, you and I connected, and it's been good keeping up this past year.
Yeah, man, for sure. I even got to get down there and meet you in person. What was that sometime last year. So that was cool.
Yeah. That was great. Raleigh is a phenomenal spot. I always tell folks who aren't familiar with it, it's big enough where there's stuff to do, but still small enough where you can run to folks around town, which I love. So, we're East Coast, so we still got like a little bit of edge to ourselves, but we're
Yep,
in the
yep.
South, so our West Coasters can relate because we're just easygoing and, we're very welcoming. So it's a nice balance.
100%. We got that Southern hospitality, you know?
That's right.
Yeah, yeah.
That's right.
Some of the less savory components of Southerners tends to take the limelight, but we have
Oh
wonderful
gosh, I
sweet
know.
tea and great hospitality.
Yeah, that's the truth.
Some comfort foods.
Well, and like hospitality and friendship and all that stuff. I don't know. I grew up with it. It was just natural to me. My mom was a public school teacher. My dad worked for the county in affordable housing, and so his job was to take money allocated to the state and try to disperse it to those that needed it most. And so growing up, this idea of helping one another, connecting with other people, it was just very foundational. And so, maybe this is a good segue into a little bit of like how the Dash Bash came to fruition,
Yeah.
because I always loved design. I grew up as an artist. I'm like watching you get in here this digital painting. I'm like, dude, I should be getting back into digital painting. It's badass.
Yeah, dude.
But I was always a tinker, and I think a lot of artists can relate to that, right? You're just
Sure.
playing around, trying different things. Someone told me, it's like, you ever heard of design? It's this idea of problem solving with art. And I was like, oh no, I've never heard of that. Super rad. Discovered college of design at NC State University and really just found my passion there. And thanks to an advisor who turned me on to this new thing, I'm going to date ourselves here, Carl, this new thing called motion graphics. I know, exactly. I was like, oh, this is pretty rad. So
That was not a word when we were in school, I don't
I
think.
know, exactly. So, started learning about motion graphics, really fell into it, got into the agency space after school. Really thankful that I worked around some incredibly talented folks who were way smarter than I was, but were really open to showing me the ropes, right? I mean, I think that's one of the things that unfortunately I think is lost a little bit in the digital world we're in is the in-person stuff was just so important and having a mentor or someone to be able to teach you these things. So.
Yeah, 100%.
So key. So anyway, I'm learning the ropes. I'm at this agency, and over the time there, what I really recognized that I enjoyed so much was those connections with people, the folks that I got to work with.
Yeah.
But like a lot of folks experience this as they move forward in their careers, they get promotions, they get bigger titles, it's less artwork and it's more managerial stuff, and then all of a sudden you're caught in this silo and you're not really collaborating, which is like, what everyone wants to do.
Right.
So that was the impetus to starting Dash Studio. We believe in the power of creativity and community, and we want to make the best work with the best people out there. And
Hell yeah.
what was funny about the whole thing is when I started with my business partner, I mean, truthfully, we were like, well, we'll just see how this goes. Like, we didn't truthfully have the intention to build it up to where it is today. But that was 2015, and things kind of just snowballed and started rolling. And this is where the Dash Bash comes into play. We were coming up on our 5-year anniversary. So this was back in, 2020. And we were like, we're still in business. Like, we should celebrate that, right? Like, every year up to that point, it's like, oh, great, we still exist. That's
Surviving.
awesome. Yeah, exactly. So we were like, we should do something to celebrate this. And we're like, let's throw a party. We'll call it the Dash Bash, right? We'll just have this big party. We'll invite some friends locally. And my business partner was like, well, why don't we bring in some of our other friends who've helped us along the way? I mean, we had gone to different conferences from Blendfest down in Vancouver. Some folks might remember that. Or we've been to Style Frames in New York or F5 and really got to connect with all these great people. And we're like, oh, that'd be so fun to do something similar down here in the Southeast. So once we started inviting some people to this party, and they're like, we should have some folks say a couple of nice things. And they're like, wait a minute, this isn't even a party anymore. We're starting to like plan a conference. And we're like, maybe that's what this is. Maybe that's what it needs to be, is more of a conference. And that's really how the Dash Bash was born. It started with this idea of a party being like, God, we got to celebrate the fact that we're still in existence. And it slowly kind of morphed into this gathering just to bring good people together. And I think, to me, the thing that I'm probably most proud of with the Bash coming into our 3rd year is that it's truthfully not about the work you're seeing on screen. I mean, we have really great presenters. I mean, the folks who come are phenomenal people, and they're phenomenally creative talents. But while their presentations, the work they show is really good, it's more about like the in-depth details that kind of go behind that. I
Sure.
think about just like some of the past speakers that we've had from Wesley Lewis with the line animation and talking about kind of being an immigrant and starting your own company. We've had Bien, an inclusive motion design studio that talks about designing with intention to be inclusive. We've had Aaron Ray, who had this great story about starting a studio, being really successful, but then how do you wind it down even in the midst of being successful? And so it was a lot of these conversations that not a lot of people were talking about. And I think those are the talks that have been the most impactful and really what I'm proud about. It's not always the standard lineup of folks you see. It's a good mix of things. So the Bash collectively is like good talks that are more intimate, more personal, more human. And then it's all about the hanging out, the communal areas of just having good conversations, stuff like we're doing right now, Carl, where you're just like shooting the shit, hanging out and like having good chats about like what's going on out there and creating space for that. So I feel really proud of what it's built up to be. I think this year we're expecting about 350 folks coming to it. So it'll be rad, dude.
Hell yeah, dude. Well, again, this is going to be my first time. I'm super jazzed on it. And yeah, dude, it's gonna be sweet. So your story about building this up is cool too, because I've been thinking I wanted to do something like this. There's not really something like this in the like Richmond, Hampton Roads kind of section of Virginia where me and a lot of my friends are from. So I'm gonna be paying close attention, Matt, because you never know. Good. I might spin something up that I'll have you come do a little talk at or something. So you
should, man. I think it's interesting. I think if you think about life and its big moments, community tends to play an important part. If you think about like let's say you're like navigating a death in the family, it's community comes together for the wake and surrounding yourself with people who know the people that passed and being with them. If you are going through a breakup, you seek out comfort and people you trust and you're close to. Yeah. And I think we're seeing the same thing a little bit in our industry as AI is changing and come into the game, and it's like what's happening with the future of creativity. There's a lot of uncertainty, and I think because of that, you get folks who are seeking out that community more than ever before. So you have events like the Dash Bash, but you also got, I know Amanda, Russell, and Kareem, they have like the MoGraph meetup that they put on.
Yep, I always go to those.
Those are great. We have another one here locally called Triangle Motion Meetup that Aaron Bradley and their studio Pool Bar put on. I know there's one in Detroit that goes on. That's like MoGraph Mondays that they put up. So like you're starting to see more of these groups start to form, and I think it makes sense because we're in a place now where folks are seeking that out more.
Absolutely, man. It really, like, you nailed it on the head there. Community is everything, man. Like, you don't got anything if you don't have community. Like, community is where you amplify your joys and you lessen your woes, and it's like that community starts in your home and in your with your children and your family, and extends out into all these different networks and different other communities that you're a part of. And yeah, like if you don't have that, what do you got? Like, you're real 100%. Lonely. Like I couldn't even imagine what my life would be like without the people I surround myself with that are amazing human beings. Like, we're all gonna die one day. Like,
I know. Right.
And it's gonna be way too soon. So we might as well really be surrounding ourselves with people we like and want to support and want to build up, and all be putting things into things that make sense for us. As human beings to like, what I don't want to just use up resources and die having paid my bills. Like, I want to actually do something worth talking about, like leave some memories, some opportunity for a ripple effect that could make change for good, maybe even after I'm gone. So
100%. Yeah. I think the piece you hit on that I think is just so important is the supporting one another.
Oh, yeah.
I think one thing the motion design industry has been great about is supporting one another. And I think partly because it's been so small. One worry that I have is that as it grows and grows especially fast, that there's a chance we lose that, either because people are like jealous of certain jobs getting landed by people, or like needing the work themselves. They're not sharing resources like they once did. And it's important, I think, to remember that you succeed by being a giver and giving back to the community. In fact, I was curious on this. You'll dig this statistic, Carl. I was curious about the value of community, and if there was any research out there that highlighted that take that like investing in other people. It's not a novel idea. People say it all the time, but what is the data behind it?
Right.
And I found there's this political scientist. His name's Robert Axelrod, And he did this study where he took 1,000 participants and he wanted to track over the course of their career how successful they were. And then he wanted to equate that back to these 3 definitions he gave everybody. They're either a giver, where they just are always trying to support one another, help one another, that they are a taker, where they try to take advantage and use whatever they can to get ahead. So, you know, if you're like, if I can say something, you'll do it, that they would lean on that, right?
Right.
Or you're a matcher, where I give something, you give something, we're both into it and we're kind of matching. So the study tracked these people, and what they found was interesting. The people that had the least successful career were actually a partial group of the givers. Folks that gave so much they actually got burned out because they couldn't deal with it, and they couldn't deal with anything because they were just constantly giving.
Oh,
The second group was the takers, because they took so much they burned bridges, and then because they were burning all these bridges, they didn't make it very far. Then you had the matchers, where it was like the give and take, and then way out in left field, the group that really started to do really well was the other part of the givers. These are people that unconditionally tried to help everyone in their community, and by doing it over the long term, they supported the bridges, they supported one another, and it's the all tides raise all boats mentality.
Yeah.
And they're really successful. And so I loved reading that, because it just kind of reinforces my belief that, like, you should always be supporting the folks around you. You should find your community, be building that up, and lift them up along with it.
Without a doubt, bro. I love that. Thanks for sharing that. That's the
Absolutely.
that's the truth, man. I see it all the time, and you know, it definitely. And look, and you know, to your point earlier about, you know, that potential we could lose that, you know, magic that we have, if you will, in the MoGraph society. Like, we can only lose that if people like you and me and Amanda and the rest of our friends stop being at the forefront with the message and leading by example, right? Like, but when we're
100%.
leading by example, we're bringing more people in, we're showing everybody, you know, humanity and compassion. Like, that's huge, and people feel that, you know.
Especially in changing times, right? Where it goes back to what we
God.
were talking about, where folks are seeking out more than ever. And it's more important than ever before when you have individuals who are trying to de-unify folks, right? You know, and break up these communities, you know, make it more divisive.
Certain individuals,
Yeah,
those
right,
names who we
exactly.
shall not speak.
Exactly.
Yeah, but yeah, we're on the same page. Yeah,
Carl,
100%.
have you been through Raleigh before? Will this be your first time down this way?
Well, other than when I came to visit you that last time, man.
Oh, right, duh, of course.
yeah.
That was the only time. Was
That's
that the
only
first
I've ever
time?
been to Raleigh. Yeah, first time
That's
in Raleigh.
so funny.
Yeah. That's super cool. Yeah, I had a great time. Met up with one of my buddies that works at Epic Games. Met up with another one of my buddies that I've known through the agency space. I got to meet with you, and then I met one of my clients. So, like, it was a good visit for sure. Great city, man. We walked around that cool little park in downtown.
Yeah, that was
thing's
rad.
legit.
Yeah,
That's
it's
not.
huge,
Was
man.
that Raleigh or like an adjacent?
That was adjacent. So that was like Cary, which is like
Cary,
a suburb
got it.
of Raleigh.
Yeah. That's a cool
Downtown
spot.
Raleigh, they're working on this new park. It's called Dorothea Dix. It's like a 75-year plan. It's something crazy. So like they'll finish the park when I'm dead, but they're doing it in phases so
No
that we
big
can all
deal.
enjoy it. Yeah, no big deal, right? But yeah, it's going to be massive, and I think it just highlights the importance of greenery and having kind of these, like, you can't live in concrete jungles. I think people are finally realizing that you got to bring nature back into the city.
You have to. Without a doubt. I can't do city very much because there's not enough nature. You know, it's funny. I was up in Boston, staying with some friends of mine last week, and they got this beautiful place in Cambridge, right on the river, and like, I was like, yeah, it's just not enough nature out here. He's like, oh no, look out this way. He's got a view out the other window. I was like, yeah, you got the trees and some bushes. I was like, those aren't ecosystems. Like, those are trees and bushes. Like, like, you know, there's not like squirrels and predators and like, you know, and micro and fauna and flora and like the whole, like an ecosystem with a food web. Like that's nature. Like what we have there is concrete with trees in it, which is better than concrete without trees in it, for the record.
That's
but
true.
Like, you know, so I'm not shitting on progress, but like I definitely need more nature than that. So
I know. I was out in Phoenix earlier this year for a conference, and I just forgot how dry the desert is. You know, just being out
I've never
there.
been, so I can only
Such
imagine.
a different vibe. I mean, it's cool. I like it. Had a good time out there. Actually went to Zion National Park while I was in the area.
Hell
which is
yeah.
beautiful. Really love that. But yeah, I'm definitely East Coast guy. I love the greenery of the trees, and Raleigh definitely has a lot of that, which is good. So I'm thankful for that.
Yeah, the
Carl,
seasons.
thinking about some things I could talk about for the bash.
Yeah,
We actually I have some pretty good behind the scenes stories I could share.
yeah, yeah.
You know,
Go for it, brother.
the first year we did it, truthfully, and this is so embarrassing to say now, I was like, throwing a conference, how hard could that be? I just had no idea the nuance and the detail that went into it, or just like what could come up last minute.
Oh,
And
sure.
so one of the last minute things we had to deal with was, well, one, it was COVID. So like 2020 was COVID was happening, and we ended up having to cancel it in 2020 and push it to 2021. And so
Oh,
by
yeah.
by by the
That was
group,
a surprise.
that was a surprise. So
Shit.
we somehow navigated that. Then you have like the Delta variant that was coming out, and luckily the Dash Bash landed kind of right in a lull where it seemed to be okay. Of course, we masked up and went through various precautions,
Right.
and I thought that that was going to be like the craziest thing we had to deal with. And then the night before the bash, I had two calls come into me from two of our speakers, and I won't say who because I don't want to put them on blast right now. But basically, they had a COVID related issue and they weren't going to be able to get to the bash. One
Oh
person,
no.
one person's family member got sick, and he was like, "Look, I can't go. I'm like the lead person to be responsible for my kid. He's got COVID. I can't come." And no joke, like an hour and a half later, another individual couldn't make it because they were stuck out of the country and they could not get back in the country. They were having some sort of issue because they weren't a native U.S. citizen, and the U.S. was doing all sorts of crazy stuff and not letting folks into the states. So the day before our event, I had two people bail on me, two of our speakers, and I was like, "Holy cow!
Oh no.
How how do I do this?" So I looked at our lineup of people that were coming, and I was like, "Okay," or our attendees. I looked at our attendee list, and I was like, "Who here would have a deck or something that they could pull together to like be able to present?" And I looked at a few folks, and one group that popped out was Hobbs, Hobbes, out of Detroit. Some folks who are listening might remember them, but Hobbs, they actually just acquired by Duolingo over the last year, so they don't exist anymore in their own entity.
Okay.
But they were very like tech-driven animation studio. I mean, they just did initially they started with like drones, but then they got into more complex problem solving. So Nevin McRae, was a friend of mine. I knew him, and I called him up, and I was like, "Nevin, what do you think about giving a presentation on stage tomorrow?" He was like, "What are you talking about?" I was like, "Look, here's the deal. We had a last minute cancellation. A guy got COVID, can't make it here." He was like, "Holy cow." He's like literally landing in Raleigh, I think, as I'm talking to him, and like talking about giving a presentation the next morning. He was like, "Dude, I'm totally game. We can do it. I can 100%." Him and his business partner, Eddie, came together, made a presentation. They said they stayed up all night and did a presentation. And truthfully, I'm not even lying here, Carl. It was one of the best presentations. It was phenomenal.
Oh
They
man.
knocked it out of the park, and it came together so last minute. So kudos to them. I told both of them that every time I see them, like beers are always on me at this point.
Perfect.
So we did that, and then the way we replaced the other person is, we realized that no one really knows what producers do, and producers are so important. I was like, we'll do a producer panel because we saw enough producers were going to be joining in attendance. So I took a couple of our speakers, brought a couple of folks from the audience. We created this speaker panel where we could ask questions and stuff, and that also went really good. So
Oh, yeah.
we ended up pulling it off. No one, I mean, of course, folks were probably disappointed they couldn't see a couple of the folks that were coming, but we still were able to keep the show moving forward. And so because of that, what we do now is we have a secret backup speaker at every conference or every one of the Dash Bashes we throw. So on the off chance that someone can't make it, we'll have the secret person that we can dub, be like, "All right, you're up," as our backup.
All right. I love, dude. That's a like a serious pro tip right there, bro.
I know. So yeah, if you're playing an event, you got to have a backup plan. That's for sure.
Apparently, I'll definitely put that on my list of things I'm learning now as I am stewing on the idea of making something like this one day. So.
Oh, here's another one for you, Carl.
All right.
All right. So this is year one. I mean, one of the first things we ran into was just like how expensive it is to put on an event like this, from renting out places to like doing catering or even just getting a place for people to hang out. So we were asking a lot of our friends for various pro bono work, like if you could help us out. And so there was an acquaintance of ours that we knew, who's a photographer, And so I was like, oh, it'd be great because you come help us out and capture photos from the event or whatever it was. He's like, yeah, happy to do it. So we had a plan. Shows up, day one, capturing all these photos and everything. Shows up day two, captures everything. This is for the first year of the Dash Bash.
Okay.
And then proceeds to completely ghost us.
Oh.
And never replied. So I'm like shooting emails. I'm like reaching out to him. I can never get a hold of him. And basically, this person fell off the face of the earth. So when we had the first bash, the only pictures that we have from the event from year one were just random iPhone photos that I took or that like other people took, because the guy who was going to be helping us out with the photography stuff just totally dipped on us and never got any of it, which is crazy because we had this amazing like rooftop party, all this stuff, and it was never documented because we didn't get the photographer. So that's a priority for us this day and age, is that we're paying people to do that. I think that's a lesson learned, is like, if it's pro bono work, you might get pro bono results, so trying to pay where you can on some of that stuff.
Yeah, that for sure. We've seen things like that in different aspects. Pro bono, you just get what you pay for, right? Like eventually, like, it feels good to get a deal or to barter or trade something, but like if you want it done right, you should just pay for it, right? Like,
100%.
and if sometimes you can't, and that's where you're starting, and that's okay too. But you gotta just set your expectations accordingly. I hired a guy one time, and I won't mention their name, but was in the middle of a project at the time was one of the biggest projects we'd ever done, and it wasn't like at a convention or anything, and like worked for us all day on a project, had the files, like we were in the office, he was going to come back the next day and just ghosted on us, and like it was due Monday and we were working over the weekend, and I'd already paid him like half the money, and it was just a nightmare. We just did a lot of back and forth, but you learn the hard way. That was one of the most stressful weekends of my life. I literally was at the office for like 30 hours from Friday to Sunday to Sunday night. Like, it was insane.
I know in the early days of Dash, I used to exclusively and only take on work that I knew myself and my business partner could do ourselves because of that factor. Like, I just always wanted to be in a position where if someone dropped the ball, I could at least do it myself.
Yeah.
And then eventually it gets to a place, where you start scaling or you're bringing in new projects, or like, it's just, you're working in stuff at some point that you're like, I can't do it. So then you get on the trust and dependability with people. But, when you're first into something, I think back to the early days, we just didn't have a network of people. Like, I just didn't know who to reach out to or who to get the help from. And so you kind of got to go through the vetting process and recommendations. And that is so key in our industry, right? Is like, who's worked with this person that can validate that their work and stuff is good. I think about today, we have this project we were trying to find some specific freelancers for. And it's a very niche thing, what we were looking for. And we reached out to a few folks who we knew did it. And they were like, oh, I'm booked up, I'm sorry, but here's some 3 other people you should reach out to. So all of a sudden we started to get this web of network of people from recommendations. And I guarantee you they're going to be great because of the recommendations and who they come from. And I feel like that's the epitome and a great example of just kind of how folks get work in our space, right? Just kind of spider webs out.
More community-driven stuff, man. Yeah, we had that situation with Rive. We were doing some Rive animation not too long ago. Oh,
nice. Yeah, that's great.
And now I had one of my teammates just go, look, just get in there and learn this shit. She's like, all right, cool. And now she's like definitely down the rabbit hole, made some cool stuff, delivered some assets for a client, and it's always evolving. It's like motion graphics was a thing. Like when I started this company in 2007, dude, I was doing signs for windows and vehicle wraps and like T-shirts and websites and business cards and like all kinds of crazy shit. And so I've probably done everything in the advertising space. Like, you name it, I've done it professionally for clients.
That's great. Well, at least you're gonna be well-rounded. You've touched every aspect of any potential project.
I've sold thousands and thousands of T-shirts. I used to make T-shirts in my garage. I used to cut and weed stickers myself. And I've done it all. Like, if I never weed another sticker in my life, it'll be too soon. Because I've just meticulously weeded little pieces of vinyl and put them on transfer, layered them into different signs, and then we really got into what we do now. We've niched all the way down to where we mostly almost exclusively do animation, and we do a little, like a fair amount of illustration work because it's basically just not moving animation,
Sure.
right?
Right.
And then
Yeah. Yeah.
and then we do some branding and stuff. And every once in a while, somebody will want some really detailed, like over the top graphic design type of stuff that we really shine at.
Nice.
So because it's more illustrative than it's just like traditional graphic design, but yeah, but we've gone the whole gamut. Like it's been a wild ride. So, but that's when you get into things with a can-do attitude and no clue what the fuck you're doing. Like that's what happens,
Oh,
right?
dude, I know, 100%. I think like that's one thing that I feel proud of with our industry. I mean, like, change is inevitable, change is happening like crazy right now.
Yeah.
But as motion designers, you are naturally multidisciplinary designers, right? There's this graphic designer, his name was Edward Tufte, and he was really good about systems and organizing information into like really good layouts so you're digestible and can understand it.
Yeah.
And he talks about this idea of a capital T theory, and it's where you start the base of the T and learning something, and then you learn that path until you get to like a crossroads where you get to that T portion of
Oh,
it, right?
nice. Yeah.
And then you branch off, and then you start learning something new, and so you get these collections of T's. Like I started because I loved art, and then I was like, ooh, someone turned me on to design, and then it was like, oh, someone turned me on to motion graphics, and then it was creative direction, and then it was producing, and then it was business development and entrepreneurship, and all of a sudden you got this like collection of T's of all these different things you've done, and it's what makes you so unique.
Yeah.
And the motion design industry, I think, of all the design fields, has to have the most varied group of people with the most varied group of their own capital T's, which is what makes it so interesting and exciting as we think about the future, because the future is changing, and the people that are going to be able to adapt and adjust to that change the best, in my opinion, are the folks that have this experience in all these different gamuts of design and life, and that's our field to a T.
Yeah, totally. I love that. My journey is often kind of weird because like I never worked for anybody, and I didn't even really like graphic design until my senior year in design school when I saw Stefan Sagmeister's work. And I don't know if you know.
Oh yeah.
And I was just like, wait, this is graphic design? You can like carve posters into your chest and like take a bunch of pictures, like standing around naked doing crazy stuff. I was like, what? Why aren't we learning about this the whole time?
Sign me up for this.
I was like, bro, I can be this level of crazy, fun, like eccentric, like, and then I just like everything got exciting for me for then, and I was like, oh, I can literally do anything with this, right? So I fell in love with design, kind of in that space of like, I can be as strange and unique and creative as I possibly want, and like no one gets to tell me what my kind of stuff looks like, and I don't have to be this like corporate clean whatever. And it took me a long time to like revitalize my brand, and like because when I had it initially out of school, I was like, what does a marketing company look like? What do they do? Like I didn't even know like what an agency was, but I was just like, I want people to like, I want to be corporate, and everything was like really clean with lots of white space, and like the brand was just, it was so forgettable. It was well done and unique, but it wasn't unique, right? It was well done and very polished, very clean, very like what you would expect. Like, but I was very much just a commodity, just like any company could sell or do what I was doing. And then when we rebranded to Epic Made and we started focusing on like fantasy storytelling and like video games and like nerdy narrative type of stuff, like it really just like really pushed us in an amazing direction. But it took so many years. Like it was a crazy amount of time. Like I am the tortoise in this race. Like I've been here since 2006. Went full time.
That's great though. It means you're gonna win at some point, right?
I mean, that is what I think. I do think, because I've seen people just fly past me and I just get jealous or upset or whatever. And I don't anymore. I definitely used to.
Of course, when you're younger, you have that hubris a bit of kind of where you want to be.
Oh yeah, like, oh man, I wanted to be in like Forbes by the time I was 30, and like, I'm 40 now, and it's like, I don't give a fuck if I ever get in Forbes. What I do care about is like, I have this amazing life I wake up to every day, and I work from home, and I have my wife and my son, and I got a giant yard, and like I have an acre of land full of food, and
now we're talking.
This is my house where I just like live stream and do art for fun. Like this is the dream, like what else do I need? Like I live way below my means, which means I'm financially not very stressed ever. Which is a new phase of my life, but there was definitely 12 to 15 years of just trying to survive. So, but yeah, it's just cool, man. It's really feeling good. Like even since you and I talked, things have just gone like wildly in the right direction. Like
Nice.
beyond what I could have even like tried to hope for, you know. And the entrepreneurship side to me is always so fascinating. Remember when I used to tell people I started my own business to do this, like, oh well, who made your business plan and blah blah blah. I was like, what do I? Every time I've tried to make a business plan, anything further out than a year is just me like playing around with some bullshit ideas that like, yeah, you can have a big picture, but if you're trying to like nuts and bolts every single step, it's just it never makes any sense to me. Maybe I'm doing something wrong, you know, and that's possible because I'm very ADD. So like, and
Sure.
maybe that works for some people, but I just keep adapting and moving and just kind of. For the longest time, I felt like we were just kind of failing in the right direction, you know. And then all of a sudden, it's like, oh, we start to break free and get a little more breathing room and just doing more and more and better and just really caring about the craft. And like you said, being that type of person that's a connector and a networker and just trying to help people all the time, that served me more than any business plan would ever, you know.
I know. I feel like with entrepreneurship, there's this thought or feeling that you have to come in with this clear, concise plan that you know exactly every step along the way. But I think the biggest lesson I've learned in running Dash over the last 10 years is point A to B, it's not a linear straight line.
Never.
It is curvy, it's like a noodle, you're going in all sorts of different directions. You know, I look at what we've got running right now. I mean, we're probably the most organized and systemized we've ever been. I mean, to the point where we have a year goal that we have, and we break that down into like our quote unquote 5 different departments of the studio, and each department has its goals that we're trying to do. And that just didn't happen overnight. I mean, like, that is literally 10 years of slight adjustments, getting a little bit better, doing a little bit more each and every day. I mean, in the early days, I mean, I remember coming up trying to write a business plan, and like literally in 6 months it changed because you won a crazy project, or conversely, you lose a crazy project, right? And it just totally throws stuff out the window.
100%.
So it's like, you want a plan. You want to know where you're going, at least be in the right direction so you're rowing the boat the right way. But you have to be amenable to the fact that things do change and be okay with that.
100%. Yeah, you can't be married to anything other than like the big picture vision. Like, why am I doing this? Like, you know, for
100%.
us, like, we want to be storytellers. Like, we want everyone on my team knows that the end goal is for us to make all of the money we need on our own intellectual property, right? To tell our own stories. And like, so we're working our way up through the advertising world, and that's where a lot of the money is. But like, we're slowly building out our own properties and doing our own things. We've launched our own comic, and like, yeah, we just want to be, you know, our own little version of LucasArts or whatever that is, but like not that big. But like, you know, I don't, if it goes that way, I guess maybe that's fine, but that would just, I can't even plan that far. It's so esoteric. But like you said, one big project changes everything, right?
100%.
You know, or like you have these. I did a tribute. We didn't know each other then, so I'll show you this. I did a tribute to COVID, which was fantastic. I'll show you this.
Yeah, let me see
so
it.
This was in 2020, and it was like right when COVID hit, and I need to do another one of these because it's been so long. So this is the base image, right? I started off. With this idea of me on the left. Oh wait, yeah, there you go. Me on the left of like, this is Carl, January 2020, ready to do my thing. That's my my business outfit, my eccentric artist, right? So then I stitched them together, and then I just kept like transforming this into this like ridiculous scene. And this was inspired by Stefan Sagmeister. He has a Sagmeister on the Binge where he's on a couch next to himself. But like, I have my 2020 business plan over here, and like all like, all right, we're gonna do this. We're gonna go to conventions. We're gonna, you know, blah blah blah. You know, and I just, my nice little bonsai tree, just all this like symbolism, right? And then like by the end of 2020 in December, you know, I'm down here with
looking haggard.
yeah, I got a little face tattoo because it's just fuck it. You know, I got my 2020 bingo going on. My bonsai tree died. And my cat's about to puke on me. R.I.P. Helios. He died 2 weeks ago. I had him for 19 years. He was a beautiful cat.
What a run. We lost our dog in the last year, 16 years old. And
yeah.
It's tough, man. It's tough. You love these animals unconditionally. You know that it's a finite amount of time that we have, but how thankful I am to have a pet that just loves you so much.
Oh my God, it's beautiful. Yeah, we bought this. We got it. We adopted him and his brother from the SPCA like right when we got back from our honeymoon, right? So that was like our first kid and everything. It was you know, it's been
nice.
a journey, but he was cool. He was a
You
cool
know,
ass
you were
cat. So.
talking about just like change and how stuff inevitably does that.
Yeah.
I think something that I learned over the last few years that helped me a lot, that was always a little bit of a blocker for me, is that I think as a designer, I always wanted stuff to be perfect. Whatever I
Oh,
put
bro.
out, whatever I put out there, I wanted stuff to be perfect. And the reality of entrepreneurship is that it can't be. You know, perfection inhibits progress, and you've got to keep stuff moving forward. And so, a big learning curve for me, and something that took me a long time to wrap my head around, was that it's okay to push it live. And I'm not just speaking exclusively about work. I'm talking about like, oh, you have some operations you're developing, or you're doing some marketing plan, or you have a sales plan. Like, you just got to start and just push it out there, refine it as you go along, you know, because otherwise you just trip up over yourself forever.
Preach, man. Yeah, we got an 80% rule. Like, cause I mean, I didn't name it Epic Made on accident, right? Like we want to go all in and do it like as wildly awesome as we can. But you know, yeah, if it's 80% there, that's like where we start looking at like, all right, is this launchable yet? Like, what can we iterate from here, right? Like, you know, there's obviously got to take it case by case, but we learned that same thing, because how many times have projects gotten to 80% and died
Right.
because you just it's not perfect yet. By the time you get there, it's still not perfect, and it's, you know, it just
I know.
it's just never
Same
ending.
with same with personal projects. I mean, guilty of myself of trying to start personal projects and never quite getting it out the door, trying to do something so grandiose again because you want it to be perfect. You want it to be this thing, this vision you have. Because the reality is like creatives, I don't know, we're tinkers. You can just constantly tinker and refine. But yeah, that's definitely a big lesson. Just putting it out there and moving forward for sure.
So this ties into a couple different things you said. This whole
Sure.
live stream. So the community and the coming together around art, you know, I learned that from my father, right? So this whole live stream has actually come about me creating posthumous art collaborations with my dad. So like this right here is like one of my dad's pieces of art, right? Like I've modified it a bit, and so is this right here. This is another one that these are just his paintings, and I have them all around my house. I have like 700 of them. So like every time I do art now on the stream, I always include pieces of his art, right?
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, dude. So I've done like 75 or 80 of these. So if you go on my website, there's all sorts of them on there, the colorfulcarl.com. But on top of that, like this whole thing that, like, you know, you said, like, as you become an entrepreneur, you get stuck in all this other shit, and like you no longer are doing the work, right? Like,
Right.
I haven't been on the Epic Made art team in coming on a decade, and I was dying inside because I wasn't making any art, because I'm an artist. Like, I love to do this shit, right? So it's you know, I've been using this as that creative outlet, but to have conversations with people like yourself and build up a community of people that just love art and like love what I'm doing. And, you know, I'm doing all this stuff with NFTs, and I experiment with AI on here a lot, and like, you know, talk through all the do's and don'ts and woes of all that sort of stuff. And it's really fun, and it's all just like a wild journey, and I'm really loving it. And there's something fun about just making art for art's sake too, because we get so stuck in the, you know, in the business side of things. It's like, well, this has to have a functioning tank. Get out of the trash. Sorry, my dog being special.
No, it happens. The trash has got a lot of goodies in it.
It does. All the goodies are in the trash.
All the goodies are in the trash.
You know, he's just a poor bulldog. He can't help himself.
You know, I had this moment a few years ago, and a lot like yourself, as Dash has grown, my role has shifted away from being in the weeds of the creative to more high level of the creative, which is cool. I mean, there's something exciting about being the idea person, coming up with big ideas, and then, you know, passing along for execution. But I was missing the creative. I was missing being in the weeds. And I remember everyone was super busy. We had this project come in, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to take it. Like, I'm just going to run with this project. This part of Corey was like, you're going to animate this? I was like, yeah. I was like, one, we don't have anyone else to work on it. We could afford not to farm it out. It'd be great to keep it in house. You know? So
a little extra
money.
Like, always
yeah,
helps.
exactly.
Yeah, no,
so
I've done it a couple times.
You know, and I just banged this thing out. You know, did like the round one, changes came in a hell of a time, did round two, and it looks sharp, man. And it's like, you know, there's this moment where I was like, I forgot all like the hotkeys and the shortcuts and the in-app effects, and I'm like, wait a minute, you know, and then you have to kind of like just let your brain go soft for a second so you can get back into the flow of it.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, to me, I truthfully, I wish someone had told me this before starting my own agency, because like if you start your agency, you got to be cool with being an entrepreneur, because that's where it goes. If you like being an artist or a creator, it's probably not for you, because
Yeah.
the thing I do miss the most is getting into the flow state. And I feel like creatives and artists get into the flow state better than anyone, right? When you're in on a project and you're vibing with it so hard, and you're just like, you're not even thinking about time, you're not thinking about anything. It's like 9 in the morning, the next thing you know, it's 6 p.m. and you're like, oh
Yep.
man, I can't wait to jump back into this tomorrow, you know?
Yep.
Like, that's such a unique feeling that I feel like so many other professions don't offer, you know, like the flow state that offers creatives.
You're so right there, and yeah, that's something that like, it's not that big of a deal if you've never been there, right? You've never had that experience. But if you went to art school, like, you know, and you did anything like I did, where you started the project that was due tomorrow, like the day before, and you just did 20 hours straight overnight,
Right.
just cranked out on caffeine, which I probably, you know. And it's like you said with that presentation your buddy did, like some of the best shit comes when like your back's against the wall and you have
Yeah.
no other options, right? Like this is
100%, you know, you
like,
just gotta fight your way out of it.
gotta deliver, dog. So
That's right.
yeah, the flow state is magical, and that's what this stream is for me a lot of times, because like I'll do this for 2 or 3 hours some nights. Sometimes people aren't talking, or they are talking, but like I'll just get in the weeds. But like tonight, like you and I are talking, we're having fun. I can't fucking draw roots for some reason. I barely made any progress on this, but it's fun. I'm just, whatever, I don't give a shit.
No, that's good. Let's go. I like
well,
the root.
I forgot to roll this back for you. So this came from like somebody asked me about my art and stuff, like my old art and my, you know, doing stuff from back in the day.
Yeah.
And this is a sketch I did in '95. Like I used to draw
Sick.
swords and shit all the time, so I pulled out my old sketches, and I was like, oh, this would be cool to redo. So then I took, like, you know, I have this photo I took in Colorado when I was out there a couple years ago, layered that in, and just started, you know, adding in some of my dad's paintings, and then I like pieced together this little sword, and then drew it last stream. So just each little piece, I kind of just individually drew it and added and manipulated stuff, and like I did a little render of like an AI gem. I was like, make a little gemstone, and it was kind of cool. But then I
cool,
just
yeah.
played on top of it and just kept messing with it, you know, and a little crack in the rock, and I'm adding these roots in. I got some like inspiration from this right here. I thought that was kind of neat.
Yeah, it's gnarly. I love that.
Actually, you know what? I'm gonna keep that up so I can reference it for a little. I was trying to do something with this, like it's not doing anything for me. I don't know why it's still in there actually. But yeah, so that's kind of been the journey, man. So it's
When did you start streaming, Carl?
3 years ago. I started so I told my dad on his deathbed. He was really upset, and he was talking about his artwork, and like you've never seen my ceiling, but it's covered in my dad's art. I might have showed that to you.
Nice.
In the
Yeah, I
podcast.
think you did. When we were,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
And I've just got like 700 pieces of his amazing artwork, and he was really just a talented, gifted artist, but never got his due, you know? And I just told him that I would do something amazing with his art one day. I didn't know what it was going to be, but I was going to figure it out, and like not to have that heavy on his heart while he's trying to, like, you know, live his final days on Earth and shit, you know? And fast forward to like NFTs started banging off. My buddy hit me up. He's
Right.
like, dude, you've got all this art of your dad's. People are doing these collections, and he's like, you know, I mean, you could make your own collection, but that'd be a lot of work. And at that point, I had no personal artwork. I hadn't done art in like at that point, like 5-6 years, really at all as a creative, and I hadn't really done anything passion-wise since like college, right? I graduated college in '08, so. I just said, all right, cool. So I started aggregating my dad's work, and I made a collection, and I
Nice.
minted an NFT collection, and I told little stories about him, and I made this like NFT art memoir. But like as part of leading up to the release, I started doing a live stream where I made new pieces every week with his old sketches. So that's primarily what I do on the stream. Like I'll pull up. You can
Well,
see
so
this.
dope. I mean, it's just such a great way to keep your dad's memory alive. You know, they
Yeah.
say there's like your literal physical death, and then there's the last time anyone ever says your name, which is like some heavy stuff to think about.
For sure.
So like, I love the idea that you're like just constantly keeping it alive, constantly talking about your dad. You know, it's amazing.
Yeah, man, I appreciate that. So can you see this? Yeah, I think.
Yeah, that's right.
So that was like so I have a whole stack of sketchbooks like that are full. Like my dad probably did this while he was on the phone, like haphazardly talking to somebody, not paying attention, right? And then so I turned into that on the live stream, right? Like, and like that painting texture in the background, that's one of his paintings. It's actually hanging on my wall. And we just draw on all this stuff and just do it. So like I did
Nice.
12 of these leading up to release, and then I loved it so much because I was streaming every week that like I just been doing it ever since now for 3 years.
Dude, I love it, man. That's so dope. There's one of my business partner Corey and I, when we were coming up with the name for our studio, there was a lot of uncertainty what we wanted to call ourselves. I mean, like, you know, you're truthfully coming up with a name for what you want to be is
so hard,
so challenging. I think one time we actually were going to call ourselves Neighbors because Corey and I lived in the same apartment complex when we started the company.
I'm so
We're
glad
like,
you didn't do that.
we were like, yeah, we could have been neighbors. That was one idea, and then we kicked around a bunch, and we were landing on a few. And I remember we were auditioning it with a friend of ours, and we were like, yeah, we're leaning towards like Dash. And he looks at us and he goes, "There's the day you're born, the day you die. The dash is what happens in between."
Oh yeah.
Like, oh, dude, I love that. And just, you're talking about losing your dad. This guy who gave us that antidote, he passed away about a year and a half later from a aortic aneurysm, like in his heart, which is super
Holy
sad.
shit.
But that quote still sticks with me, and it makes me super stoked that we went with Dash because
Yeah.
it's like connected to my buddy Andrew now. But it just carries so much more meaning, and I love that, right? I mean, we have such a finite period of time here on this planet, going back to like who you work with, who you surround yourself with, who you love, who your friends are. All these pieces are just so important, and that goes back to like almost bringing it to the top of the hour, and what we talked about at the very beginning of the call is that value of community and why you surround yourself with good people. We're here for such a short period of time. You got to enjoy it.
Dude, 100% respect that, and R.I.P. Andrew was his
Andrew,
name?
yeah, R.I.P.
R.I.P. man.
Andrew.
No, that's
Andrew
fucking
was
beautiful.
great. Carl,
Yeah.
I didn't even realize it, man. We've just been talking away. We're coming up on the top of the hour. I'm going to have to dip out of the live stream. So
Yeah,
sorry. But
no
this has
worries.
been, in fact, I was technically supposed to leave like 30 minutes ago, but we just
Yeah.
got into deep conversation, man. I couldn't get out of here.
That's what happens when we resonate, brother. We're on the same wave. So I can't wait to see
Yeah.
you in a couple weeks. Thank you for putting that together. And if anybody has any questions about the Dash Bash, just let me know. I can connect you with Mac, or you can just go to Dash Bash. I'm sure you Google search it, you can pull it up. So.
Yeah. I'll give you he'll be my takeaway before I log off. If you're a creative, you're in and around the animation or video production space, the Dash Bash is meant to be a community event that's for the community. We have all gone to conferences that have felt a little bit pretentious, or you get folks on stage who are exclusively like, look how great I am and look how great this work is. That is not our event. Our event is always about the people who are attending and trying to make space for great conversations. If you come to this event and you come here by yourself, you are going to make friends 100%. It's a curated event. It's one stage with talks all day, and then we have different parties that everyone's invited to. It is just a really great place to connect with other peers. And so if there was one conference to attend, I think selfishly it's one of the best that's out there. It's something you haven't experienced before. So if you've been to a conference, you didn't like it, I feel like this is going to be different. And if you've never been to a conference, this is the first one you should start at because it's so different. So yeah, can't wait to hang with you, Carl. For folks that are interested, www.dashbash.net to learn more info.
All right. Well, thank you for coming out, Mac. Really good seeing you.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. Thanks for hanging me on the live stream, and yeah, looking forward to hanging out here in like a month or a half or so. Crazy.
Yeah, dude, it's gonna be dope. And I'll send you this when I'm done. Let me know.
Yeah,
what you
please
think.
do.
I'll
I'm
get you-
excited to see it, man.
I'll bring you a signed print if you want.
I love that, man. That sounds great. Thanks, Carl. See you,
All right,
everyone.
Mac. See
Take
you,
care.
brother.
Bye.
All right, we're out here. Let's see. Stream's looking good. Got the secondary. All right. How's all the audio and everything? I assume it's good. You would have let me know before now, right, Lonnie? That was fun. We still got Derek out here. Derek, you still out here, bro? I gotta turn off the setting that makes a little noise. Like, it's fine when I don't have a guest. Like, that's actually great. I just forgot to turn that off when I was gonna have a guest, so ain't no thing now. I've just been drawing on this wood the whole time. I think I like this idea of like a nice scratchier line on all of it. So. Oh, that's the problem. Damn gnat in my face. Got Judy up here for a while. Haven't seen Judy in a minute. A little sword. Let's see. This needs to be a little bigger, maybe. Need some fun lighting or something on here. I'm still not fully committed to the roots here. We'll see. Awesome. This is way too yellow, by the way. Alright, let's see what I can do here. Nightbot is just out here. I'm gonna try to edit this gold so it looks a little better. I got a new stand for this monitor too. I'm not sure how I feel about it. Cool. All right. deselect the purple. So we're going to do this, and then we're going to do wand, and then we're going to do not contiguous. We're going to do 50 on the tolerance, and that should work pretty good. We'll see, said the blind man. Good. Leave that gold in there, that should be good. Cool. Those are the gems. So that's just the gold, and then cool. So we're going to do, I think we do a gradient overlay. Gold gradient map. Oh, look at that. Perfecto. So much better. So just changing the colors that are in there so that it looks, and then I'm just trying to position it a little better too. Yeah, it just looks more like gold now. Cool. Oh yeah, Boston was fun. So I did a little trip up there for about 4 days. Stayed with a family friend and caught up with them, which was awesome. And I was I did a lecture to a class at Suffolk University on it's their blockchain innovation class. I just told them about me, my art background, and my history as an entrepreneur, and you know, all the stuff I've done with, you know, NFTs and all the cool things of Web3, and that was a lot of fun. Kids seemed pretty jazzed, so hopefully I got some kids even more excited about the future of Web3 and all the fun that can bring. And I love that space. Always happy to talk about NFTs and Web3. Been in it now for a couple years. Wish I had got in it sooner and bought some Bitcoin early on, but you know, it's okay. You live and you learn. them early Bitcoin folks sitting on some stacks. Anyways, and then let's see. On the day after that, I went and did the Around the Block blockchain podcast. A couple folks from Harvard and another guy in the medical space, but all people doing blockchain stuff. So it's a really cool podcast. Gianluca is my friend there, and David. So David's the host, and Gianluca is kind of the mastermind behind all of what's going on over there. Really cool. Had some fun with that. Went to a Red Sox game. First time I've ever been to like a serious A-League professional sports game that I'm aware of. I think I went and saw DC United actually when I was a kid at like RFK Stadium, but like I was very young and like soccer still wasn't what it is today. So, you know, yeah, but it was pretty fucking cool. I had a good time. Had a really good time. Went to a museum at MIT, one of their little technology museums that like all the cool shit they're working on. You know, went over to Harvard. I was at Boston U. I was all over Boston. It was big Boston energy that week. It was super cool. So yeah, I think this might look cool if this was connected here. Haven't saved a progress shot this whole. Oh shit! I'm fucking it all up. Alright, let's see. Let's turn that off. Save a little progress shot. Alright, so this will lock the color, lock the pixels there. I feel like this needs to be more brown, you know? So let's do like a warm brown and just paint over the whole thing a little bit at a time. See if it starts to look more like roots. Not normal. We want to do... We'll switch the brushes over to a soft brown. We got that. Okay. We're going to do overlay. Let's see. There we go. Now we're getting there. This little blob back there is annoying me. Ooh, let's puppet work. This is Derek. Derek has liked the stream. Thank you, Derek. On the wrong layer. Alright, now we're talking. Got a little more control over the chaos. Alright, Lonnie. Good seeing you, friend. Thank you for coming out. Talk to you later. Well, sorry. Got my little rocker board. I was sitting on a bike, but I wasn't pedaling. Alright, let's see if I can make this work. Got a new little setup here, so still finagling it. Alright. How's the over the shoulder thing? Okay, looks good. Cool. What do we get to? We got the eraser tool here. It's got 50 viewers tonight. Let's go. Turn tool? Oh, I wasn't trying to do that. I was trying to dodge. I was wondering why that wasn't working. Literally just been working on these routes all night. My bad, y'all. I should bounce around a little. Might be a little more exciting. It's coming together though. It's my artistic process. You know, just push the shit around so it doesn't look wrong. Yeah. I think these hard edges gotta go though, because they don't look real. Alright, yeah, starting to look the part here. Nice. I'm gonna do something heinous. Maybe I shouldn't do it. We'll see. Filter, reduce noise. Where's this streak and a sword coming from? Oh, I added that in just a little bit ago. Oh, that was those lines and shit. Yeah, I don't know about that. Definitely need some moss down here. see if it'll just add in some moss for me if I have to do a lot of heavy lifting for it. I don't understand. It's sort of trying. Got a little green moss there. Got a new setup for my camera, which is cool. I got some green moss on rocks and older pieces. Let me find them. Guess I could make a moss brush and go through all that bullshit, but I don't feel like doing that. Let's skip that. We're gonna do... I feel like I added some cool green moss on this one. I can snag out real fast. If it ever loads up. Just gotta be patient. Alright, so if I go in here, I feel like the little screen lighting. You know what, I can probably just work with that mossy rock. Gonna copy that on that layer. No, paste it in here. I've got a foot in mossy rock. Heaven, your foot has returned to the stream. Alright, I am actually going to take a quick bathroom break. And I will throw the little break screen up for a second here. I'll be back. Let me stew on this piece here real fast. And then, yeah, that's already looking cool. I can add that there. Let's just, where's my moss? There, right. A little more over here, maybe one in the middle. Look at that, look at that. You can see it, you know? It's half the battle. Can you see it? So then I like the idea of just sort of erasing from the side here. Put this dog to bed real fast too. Getting a little antsy. That bit. It's already starting to work a little bit for me. All right, I will be right back. action. Sorry about that. Whew. All right. So where was I? Just doodling away here on my little stone thing. Sword in the stone. Iconic sword in the stone. I shouldn't have erased it at all. I should have masked it out. That would have been the intelligent move. So mask. Invert. Mask. Yeah. Transplanting some pixels. You can't see them yet, but when I'll start playing with the mask and revealing all the details underneath. So then I go back over the mask layer, brush, and I'll just do this and start to see how the moss will come out in here. Start looking pretty cool. That'll mess you up. it all. Let me pull up some reference images. Having some brain farts here. In fact, I probably have plenty of photographs I took of this. Tree roots. I have so many good pictures. I don't know why I didn't go this route in the first place. Looks pretty cool already. Let's do this. We're gonna do reduce noise just to kind of get it in the same vibe. And then we'll take this out in the Great Dismal Swamp out in Virginia. One of my favorite places to adventure in the forest. Better. Just looking through other photographs I have of trees. Yeah, lots of cool photographs. Be a little easier to layer in. We search like green moss growing tree trunk. Oh, this is a good reference image. Copy image. Let's look right there actually. So, okay, it's just like a fluffier. So if I take thinking like maybe even like a hair style brush, like a frizzy brush with a super bright green. Alright, I get on this root space and create a mask. Or clipping mask, yeah. Cool. Got it. That actually might work really good. So we're gonna do color dodge. Make it a little smaller. Yeah, it's getting there. But we're not there. Got an idea now. That'll be cool. And then let's do the hand flare. Definitely the wrong brush for that. Should have just went with my old photograph right out the gate. Should have known both. Looking better. Add some more definition into it. finally came together. Took me all fucking stream. It is what it is. It's pretty cool. And like that hard edge there, so I'm just blurring it on the mask a bunch. I don't know. Needs some more color in it. Something. Have to think about it. old Carl has to think that this is cool after I'm done. It's very important. This is feeling a little boring. I'm not sure why. Let's hoping some of these little scratchy textures will liven it up for me. getting close though. Probably mess with it some more next week. Yeah, I think so. Sword and stone. But yeah, I'm smoked. I got nothing for tonight. Alright, so had some good chats. Had a chat with Matt Garrison of Dash. Talk about his event coming up, which was cool. Worked on this little piece of art a bit, which is always fun. Let's see what we did today. I think we started off right here. Oh man, I just like messed up all my shit. There we go. Cool, came back. So we started there, and we left off the last live stream. So then we started playing with the gold, adding a little flare in. Yeah. We'll dial it back in. We're getting close. Just out of creative juices tonight, friends. You know, sometimes you just run out of creative juices. What can you do? Alright, y'all. Check me out next week, Wednesday. ColorfulCarl.com. Good seeing you. If you're watching this as a recording, please make sure you like and follow and all the cool things. Appreciate all the support. Prints available, all those things. Got commissions available here soon too, so don't be afraid to reach out if you'd like a commissioned piece. And yeah, thanks for everybody who stopped by. Take it easy. Peace. And there's an end stream button somewhere behind this camera.